the Kronos Conclave, where we invite distinguished leaders and have their interviews. We bring different perspectives from their experience and we share it with audience so that we can learn and grow from their perspective. Hi, I'm Aditya Pardeshi and today we have us with Prakash Panda sir. Prakash Panda sir is the President and Group CHRO of India Power Corporation Limited. He brings with himself 33 years of work experience in telecom, retail and manufacturing segment. Six Sigma Black Belt certified, and also he is a senior assessor for CHRO Excellence Model. I am genuinely excited to learn from his journey and insights, and I hope our audience finds inspiration from his conversation. So to begin with, sir, I would love to hear about your personal journey. How did you start? How did you land up in HR? And why the passion about HR? How that brought you to the HR profession?
Yeah, thanks Aditya for this wonderful opportunity. See, I born brought up in a very small town in Orissa, and in a very basically a farmhouse. And the farmhouse is a hard work done by my parents, my father, my mother. And since my father was having a transferable job as a senior forest official, a lot of responsibility was there with my mother. So I spent a lot of my childhood time during school and college days with my mother. And my mother actually used to take care of the entire construction activity of the farmhouse as well as the farming. We have 40 acres of land. So obviously, while supporting my mother, it is a labor intensive area both in construction and farming. So little I knew that this experience of managing the people which I learned from my mother will become my profession. And as 40 years back when I was in my college, my father always wanted me to be an engineer. So I wanted to do something different, and it so happened that I met one of the Indian Forest Service colleagues of my father, and he gave me a piece of advice that you should go for management. So therefore in 87 when I graduated, I joined MBA through entrance, and during the MBA I understood that finance is not my strength. For sales and marketing, you need to be extrovert and little introvert those days. And so therefore I went for person management industrialization. Thankfully, I got my first break in JK Synthetics as the management trainee, and it was a Japanese management concept. So I learned best of HR practices in my first 4 years of experience with JK Synthetics, and that is how the journey of HR began for me.
Yes, thank you for that touching story, sir. So when you are going through all these experiences, I am sure you would have learned a lot. So what are the key parameters, or I would say the things that you learned the most, the principles of the leadership that you learned and believed the most? Can you talk about this?
Yeah, see, I think, thankfully I born in an era where most of our leaders, both business and HR leaders, are role model for us. So subordinate development was, their passion, and therefore a person like me who was a kind of introvert, they got the best out of me. And since in JK and Indal, lot of quality professionals were there from top B schools like IIMs, IITs, XLRI. So I'm from a non-top B school, so I have to compete with them. So I have to do much better than them. So therefore, I used to invest a lot of time. Maybe during the weekends, I'll be there in the plant to understand the perspective. More important is the connectedness with the people, proactiveness, grounded, understanding the people's aspirations, stakeholders' aspirations, what leaders expect out of you, what employees expect out of you. I think those are the things, and how do you conform to their expectations. These are some of the things I learned. And more importantly, in Indian context, normally it is being seen that the leaders are like a god. So therefore, what they say you do. But Japanese way of doing things here, you are actually hiring both brain and hands. Like Indians, they used to say that entry level boss, aapko jo bola jata hai, you do it. But here, this concept of a total employee involvement, I think this was a great learning in my first few years of experience. And later on, I moved to Indal and to Telecom and to Future Group. So working with the market leaders gives you a leadership instinct, and you work with the best professionals in the country, both at a leadership level, peer level. I think those are actually huge learning for me.
Thank you for that experience, sir. It seems like a lot of hard work has passed. And I would like to ask next question on the same basis. What makes organizations successful based on the people and the HR policies?
See, I think one thing is that you can create a lot of good HR policies and practices, but real challenge lies on the implementation. How you are creating the awareness, what you are doing, why you are doing, why now. That narrative has to be built in the organization in such a way that entire organization accept it actually. And therefore, in young organizations or young sectors like telecom and retail, it is relatively easy to implement things because there, in which way there is an inclusive culture. And because both the companies I worked with are marketed in the respective field, obviously it was a favorable environment. But the challenge comes when you are working in the companies where it is an unfavorable environment. So, for example, I am working in a promoter-driven organization, or I want in some process large corporate like Reliance. So, there it's relatively difficult. But what is important is, rather than prescriptive, you have to having a participative culture. Take feedback from the stakeholders, the employee, the managers, the leaders, and set a right expectations and deliver on that promises. I think through this you can build the high credibility to HR, and most of the HR intervention that we do, be it performance management, learning development, hiring the best quality, everywhere you will get the support across the organization.
Yeah, thank you for that experience sharing, sir. My next question is about your certificate, that you are certified senior assessor for CII HR excellence. So I'm curious to know about what are the common gaps that you have seen across the organizations that are aspiring for HR excellence.
See, I think it is one of the best model. In my current organization, I participated for consecutive 5 years, and we got the award. We are among the top 15 in the country for consecutive 2 years. That means we are at par with many of the reputed organizations. And ours is not a very reputed, but it's a well-managed organization. I put it in this way. So I have seen the both sides, as an applicant organization and as an assessor. So when I go and do the assessment of the organizations, obviously it starts from the leadership, the HR strategy, people well-being, learning development. There are 64 attributes on which the assessment is being done. The perception of the people, the results, the performance results of the organization. But predominantly, I find that most of the organizations are improving on a continuous basis on the learning development practices, people well-being, human resource systems, processes. So those almost it is at a kind of benchmark level. But when it comes to HR strategy and leadership, still I find there is a gap. The reason is that because I worked early stage of my career, I have seen also that leaders are very, very inspirational, very, very transformational, and therefore, when I look at this generation of leader, I find that very few leaders are actually, they have got organizational building capabilities. At times, some people, they don't attend even some of the meetings when assessment is going on. They don't take seriously. And HR guys, poor guys, they used to struggle getting people together. So seriousness, something by the participating organization, I think any organization, any initiative that you to do, you have to keep the end in mind. And therefore, the proactiveness and participation is extremely important. One more gap I find that HR strategy, linking with the business results. So HR might claim that I'm doing a lot of good recruitment training, but how it is, everything that doing in HR boils down to the business success or business, resulting into business results, right? So how you are linking, how the HR strategy is cascading into a daily task, and every single person of the organizations, are aware of that, key, strategy for that particular year. How we are changing year on year based on the business strategy, HR strategy. These are some of the area. I will not say that every organization, but if you do a benchmarking, normally the report gives you benchmark companies and companies which is a low. So you get to know that where some of the companies need to improve actually. And one more aspect, obviously, if you look at right now, ESG is something, it is not a mandate, but maybe going forward, 1,000 listed company, ESG will be mandatory and audit will be done. So therefore, ESG readiness also, I find that there are around more than 60 parameters on which HR can contribute on the social, in the environment, in the governance. So there also, I find that a lot of work need to be done, from a excellence perspective, because we are not talking about basics. We are talking about achieving excellence. So what stage you are? Are you in competitive? Are you in advanced? Are you getting into a world class? So these are the aspirational. So we have to build aspirations in those processes for those organizations. That's the whole objective.
Yes. Thank you, sir. My next question is about global leadership. So what happens is when global company is having some nuances or clashes with the local culture, there can be, it is difficult to implement HR policies and HR regulations. Typically managing HR itself becomes difficult. So what are your views on that? How one can manage these policies and that case?
See, I think, this narrative there for more than 3 decades is think global and act local. Like 1991, I say that, I'm born in an era, fortunately, that 1991, the LPG, your liberalization, privatization, and the globalization, it also built a lot of aspirations, and a lot of global practices came to India. And thankfully, my first job was in Japanese management concept. So all Japanese global concepts are implemented. But I'll give you some examples as to like Japanese way of Kaizen. So if you talk about Kaizen, people will say that what is this Kaizen is all about? But it is a continuous improvement genesis. We gave a name called zero investment improvement. So ZIE means without investment also you can make an improvement. So you are actually changing the mindset of the entire organization. That look, I think you every day you should come with a improvement oriented mindset, be it in the organization or be it in the personal level. Like you are in a cycle getting into scooter, you are actually in a rented house building your own house. So in personal space, a lot of improvements are always it is being seen. But in official, how can you give your best every day and have an improvement orientation? Like the same thing when I came to Airtel, it was a very good setup, but a lot of digitization efforts are there. So we gave a new name of called Sigma. Small improvements gets major achievement. It is the same Kaizen concept, but how you are making is relevant so that people can relate to it. And then this is being evaluated. Suppose you are implementing somebody else's idea, you get a multiplier, higher points. If your boss is telling you get a little less number because you are supposed to do the job, it is your own idea, you get similar points. So, and you can aspire for what kind of recognition or some kind of those from the director you can get, and you can aspire that no, I do so many improvement, so much of savings will be there or benefit will be there, and this much reward I can get from those. So made it kind of a digitization of the entire Kaizen concept. So this is some examples I have in the HR side.
So talking about rewards and recognition, so I will come back to ask you questions about AI since it is a new trend.
Yeah.
So how AI is contributing to performance management system when it comes to awards or achievements? How does it manage? How does it help employees, and how does it help HR people?
See, I'll tell you. I mean, in the if you want to build a high performance culture, the performance management is not a HR tool; it's a managerial tool. So every manager need to own up the performance of their team. Okay. And how HR can facilitate there is you have got a lot of goals and KPI repository. So AI can helpful in not only giving that the KPI repository with respect to the role. Similarly, what kind of targets was there similar time last year or last quarter, or what kind of best ever achievements is there in that particular KPI. What is the internal benchmarking able? What is the external benchmarking able? If the inputs are good, AI can do a wonderful job in simplifying the PMS process in any organization, and so that you have a objective-based assessment, process through AI.
Then coming to the core HR function, that is recruitment. How do recruitment helps, or it gets aided by AI system? How HR having talent acquisition pool, they get help from AI?
Yeah, I think before recruitment, it is a manpower planning, structural transformation, and having a proper job description. Because whenever you are hiring somebody, mostly the candidates look for a job description so that they also feel that whether it is exciting or not. So AI plays a very important role in design the job or job description. Because right now, whenever we are doing in manually job description, we have to look at various practices. It takes maybe few days, maybe at times week also to prepare the finalize, because a lot of inputs from the business, from HR. But AI, with AI coming, your 80% of the basics are already available in half an hour. If you get a good command, you ask for a JD, you get it in and then you spend another half an hour discussing with the people and make it kind of a something which is basically there forever. So those JD can be done through AI. Structural transformation, what kind of structures the competitors are having, what kind of manpower deployment norms are available in the industry, what is the model of deployment, whether it is in-source, outsource, how the cost efficiency. So all these things can available, and it is available through AI. Actually, I am not saying it is accurate, but how the inputs you are giving, based on that you can get some output and customize to your requirement. And when it comes to recruitment, I think yes, selection process to employee experiences, AI can play a major role. Similarly, if you look at looking at the skill set required and looking at the person specification, job specification, AI can through, and it is throwing. So look at even Naukri using AI, or whether it is LinkedIn using AI. At least they can give some qualitative resumes for that particular position. So, but I tell you honestly that AI cannot replace the tacit knowledge. So we are aware that what kind of people are actually cultural fit, role fit, skill fit, and growth fit. So based on that only we are hiring people. So AI will take maybe some more time to understand these four aspects, because unless until these four aspects you don't get a complete readily available candidates.
Yeah. So talking about cultural fit that we were saying. So what happens when we are hiring? We will think about the candidate fit with organization fit. So how does AI help in that region when you are searching for a candidate who can fit with organization?
See, I think I'm sure a lot of tools are available, but I'll say that it is both high touch and high tech and high touch and high tech. I'll put it in this way. With AI and with your inner intuition together, we have to look that which geographical location, which industry, because you have. I'm sure that in future one thing AI can do is, whenever you are losing people, to which organization you are losing people, and whenever you are getting people, from which industry, complementary industry, organizations you are getting people, based on the decision making can be easy for the recruitment process. That is something AI can do.
Yes, sir. So coming out business perspective, so there are a lot of business challenges and then there are people centric challenges. So how do HR or the professional that is aspiring to be a big HR like you in the future, how should he understand from this key how to manage a business challenge along with the people centricity? How should they go hand in hand? What advice would you like to give to them?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, my personal take is, if you ask me what is your role in the organization, I say that I'm doing social service in a corporate sector. The moment this mindset comes, you have a service, approach, service mindset in the organization, and therefore you will not have any complaints. So I'm getting less salary, I'm not being adequately rewarded, people are not supporting me. Those things will not come because you are doing social service. The first mindset is come out of the basis social service mindset. That is number one. Number two is HR is a bridge between the business and the people.
Yeah.
Why HR in the organization? The basic thing is every domain expert, sales and marketing, or somebody in finance, somebody in the production, they are the expert. But HR is required because you want to standardize the people practices and processes. Therefore, it is extremely important for HR professional to understand that you are the owner of the people processes. So certain things are non-negotiable, and standardization, because large scale poaching can happen. Leaders can say that I'm the expert in this field, so therefore whatever manpower I want, give it to me. But I think HR cannot work as a postman. HR cannot work as a traffic police. HRs must own up and they say that no, I think I'll give the best possible manpower. Whenever there is a regrettable attrition, you always build a process in such a way that at least you have high retention mindset in the organization. So every attrition, every retention is a new hire. You should think in that way. So these are, and install a talent mindset across the organization, because talented people contribute to more than maybe 20% of the supremely talented people in the organization contribute to the 80% of the job in the organization. So therefore, taking care of their aspirations, that is extremely important. So I think HR's role is, I strongly believe, my 34 years of experience, that HR is not a support function. It is a very much line function.
So coming to next question, what do you think is the biggest challenge in the HR domain as of now?
See, I think one is mostly leaders always feel that HR should align to their thoughts, but I think we as a HR professionals, we are loyal to a profession and to the organization than an individual. So this is something a biggest. Second threat which is coming is, because as I said that in past days leaders are having an organizational building capability, they are inspirational leader, they have a growth mindset, but right now only few are there. So there is a little bit of selfish approach which has come in the organization across level. So for example, I give you example that earlier relationship and connectedness was very important, but today money is very important.
Yeah.
So how do you strike a balance and tell people that, look, I think if you have a little long-term goal with the organization, the long-term career with the organization, you'll be immensely benefited. So this kind of the attrition is definitely a big challenge, because there will be a lot of poaching happening. So I think this is that is some of the challenges can be overcome.
So this brings to my next question. Before rapid fire question, we will ask this question. Do you have any advice that you will give to the HR professionals who are aspiring to be HR professionals?
Yeah, I think very clear that there is a saying that "Jo seekhega wo tikega." So what is earn is spent. What you learn, you get incremental benefit. So invest in your lifelong learning. And I've been 34 years. I've come across a lot of restructuring, whether it is recession, corona, but I've never been jobless because I'm very confident about my ability, what I contribute. And second is, like I said, that service-oriented mindset. And most important thing is, what is the success mantra for me? And some of HR professionals also should look at is physically fit and mentally agile. So what do you mean is, today if you look at this generation are more looking at social media, mobile, all these things, and very few field activities. So if you ask me, being a sports person, I normally take a lot of learnings from sports. I play tennis every day. So I have taken coaching in badminton and TT, which helps me to learn new skills. How do I serve? How do I win the games? So all this agility comes from them. Second, I look at mythology. In my childhood days, I used to read all the epic Ramayana, Mahabharata and read it to my mother, and she used to interpret. And those moral and philosophical guidelines are actually helping me to become a better HR professional, because I take a lot of clues. Like, just to give an example, look at Krishna. Sudama came with a popped rice. So Krishna understood the implicit need of Sudama, and by the time Sudama is back home, is full with a lot of wealth. Krishna came to him for knowledge, because he didn't want to fight with his own blood relatives. But Krishna gave him a lot of perspective. So imagine that Krishna would have given Gyan to Sudama, who is starving, and Krishna would have given to wealth to Arjuna. It would have backfired. So therefore, the role of HR and leaders also to find out, and in the future HR leaders also look at this, that it is not only looking for wealth, but looking for knowledge. And at times, both are also required. So therefore, these are some of the narratives we learn from mythology. Sports. Look at Bollywood movies. Look at 3 Idiots. Look at many of the movies. There is huge learning from leadership, from coaching. Look at Gopi Chand as a coach. He himself created a lot of Olympian. He himself is not an Olympian. So the HR leaders should create more HR leaders. Similarly, HR professionals should always, bring in that kind of service, mindset in the organization. And final on that area is, I think HR professionals always feel that you are physically fit, mentally agile. Therefore, you are always fresh. You can do anything, and you are always empathies. That means, you are empathized to the other people on your side of the employee, and you are always in touch with all the stakeholders.
Okay, so it comes to rapid fire question round.
Yeah, please.
So in general, I will start with regular rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
First, let us start from a very basic thing: tea or coffee?
It is always tea.
Tea.
Though coffee is good for health.
Yeah.
But I'm addicted to tea, one tea at least in the morning.
Okay. Would you like to tell about any book that you read recently and you liked a lot?
I think, not recently, but Good to Great is something I keep on, reading multiple times, because it gives, it talks about level 5 leader, personal humility and professional excellence. So this is something I like most of the time. I also, whenever I get time, I read various, management books. Mythology written by Dr. Devdutt, Patnaik. So recently I read Mahabharata versus Ramayana. So a lot of insight I get from mythology also.
Nice. So paper-bound newspaper or e-paper? Newspaper, which one?
Newspaper, because I'll tell you, newspaper, and cigarette, people say that people are very, very brand loyal. So 30 years I've been reading Times of India. So maybe recently I've changed to Telegraph, but I feel that physical paper, maybe during Corona it was a little challenge, but then physical paper is something.
And the thing that should HR aspiring leaders should chase after, anything that comes to your mind?
I think chase after means on what sense? I mean, if you look at
like to become the best HR in the world, that is what their dream. Then
yeah, I think HR leaders, one thing which is basically, which every HR leader should have, is power to influence positivity in the workplace. Yeah. Because people always look at negative aspect first. How do you build a appreciative culture or positivity in the workplace? That if you are able to do it, you'll be always build lot of aspirations, optimism in the organization, and people always look for positivity.
Yeah. So thank you for all those question answers. I will now move to the rapid fire question answer. So my first question, I will start with light. So let us tell us our audience whether tea or coffee.
It is tea, because I take at least 1 cup of tea every morning. It gives me a freshness. Coffee, a lot can happen over coffee, so I don't want a lot to happen.
Okay, and second is the book that you can talk about.
Yeah, I think recently I read Ramayana versus Mahabharata by Dr. Devdutt Patnaik. So you get a lot of perspective from various mythological characters, and which can be seen in the corporate life also. Very interesting.
Now next is a HR tool or tech that you just can't do without.
Yeah, I think today's world it is Google Form, Google Meet, employee self service. I think every day you come and just work on that only. So you can't do away with this.
One underrated skill in the HR domain.
I think it is analytical skills. A lot of people take decision based on the Indian decision and the past experiences, but I think data decision making can always lead to a proper decision making in any field of HR.
Okay. And this is the last question: that what is the recent trend in HR?
So I think something very excited I come across is the green HR practices, that is the HR sustainability, and I'm doing my a PhD. I'm a part-time PhD scholar from SOA University. So I want to understand a lot of new things. What are the gaps in the the green HR practices? What are the gaps in the inclusive leadership? So resilience. So all these things are coming under this green HR and HR sustainability. So that is very interesting.
So thank you so much, sir, for your insightful discussion. I think we started with your childhood story about your mother and parents and how that evolved you to contribute to HR and become a HR professional itself. So it was a very inspiring story, and I think our viewers who are truly HR inspiration, they are inspired to become HR. They have also learned a lot from this podcast. So I would like to say very much heartwarming thank you for this insightful discussion, the time that you shared, the experience that you shared, and the valuable insight. And it has been truly inspiring to learn from your personal journey, because it is very difficult to get time of professionals in this time. But you spend this much time with us. We would like to really appreciate you for that, and we deeply appreciate your contributions to the HR field that you have done so far. And thank you so much, our audience. I would like
thanks Aditya, and thanks XLRI for such a wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, sir.